2, 1.
Hello everybody, it's Ravy here, not Lee again. You've got me, I'm afraid, today, and probably for the next few weeks. We've also changed the time slot, and it probably will be staying this time, I think, and we're going to do one at least once a week, so it'll always be a regular thing. Whether or not it'll be me or Lee depends on what we're going to do, and who's here, who's not, etc. Anyway, today I'm going to be looking again at Lua and just showing a little quick tip on how to make changes to existing scripts, and also look at the main AI script that we've got, that a lot of them are based off, which is the Soldier AI. I've spoken about Lua a couple of times, and I've always just kind of gone through it all without any documentation or showing any documentation. So just wanted to point out first that there is documentation available for use in GameGuru. I've got the page here. It's on the Steam community, and you can see the link at the top there. Hopefully someone will paste it. If Dave, Mr. French Fries, is it in the channel, he'll paste the link to it. And this actually takes you through using Lua in GameGuru, and has got really pretty much all the bases covered as far as the different things that you'd want to do. Obviously, using Lua itself is also dealt with as well. There's some Lua scripts examples, and obviously, as well as what we've got here, the actual language of Lua itself is very well documented, with loads of examples all across the web, and can easily be found with our friend Mr. Google. So yeah, so this page is really good. It's written by Mr. Singh Commander, who is head of the support, and probably well known to people in the community as being very active and very helpful, and a great guy. So yeah, so do check out that page, because that's got a lot of stuff in there worth looking through. If you're new, and if you're not, there's lots of things in there that you may or may not know that you can do. So without further ado, let's jump into some scripting. So if we bring up Steam, and as I was showing before, to get to the files, we can just right click on GameGuru, go to Properties, Local Files tab, and we want to browse local files. There we go. If we go into the Files folder, scripts always live in Script Bank. So if you click on that, there's all the scripts that we've got so far, and you can, if you want to add any new ones or copy and change other ones, this is where you put them. The main one of interest, if you're writing scripts or just for reference, as well as obviously the page that I've just showed you on the web, is global.lua, because that's got all, as you would expect from the name, it's got all the global variables in it, so you can see everything that's passed into Lua from GameGuru, everything that's set up, and also all the functions that are called for within it. So we can see here globals passed in from the player, positions, object number, health, lives, etc. And then the functions themselves, entity updates. These functions like entity, update entity, and update entity RT, they basically populate Lua with all the current entities that are in game that are active, and what their positions are, as you can see here, what their positions are, what their object number is, rotation, etc. so you can access those, and you know that they'll be always up to date. And then there's other little handy routines, get player distance, that kind of thing. And then a bit lower down is a lot of the commands that you can use. So any of these you can use in your scripts. These again will be documented on the web, but a lot of them are fairly obvious what they do. Set fog distance obviously sets the distance of the fog, so that a lot of them are pretty easy to suss out. So first thing, before we jump into the soldier AI, I just wanted to show you how, because when I first started programming, it can be a little bit daunting at times, because it's just writing something from scratch. Until you get used to programming, you think, well, how do I start off with this? What do I start with, and how would it look at the end? And until you've got used to programming a bit, you're not going to see that. A little bit like when you're painting a picture, some artists can see the end result, and non-artists see a stick man, or nothing. So it's kind of like that with programming. So what I did when I first started programming, which is a long time ago now, but I started mucking about with programs that already existed, and that's programs that other people did, and mostly break them, but I would learn by altering them what it did, and I would see what they did and think, what does that do, and then change it a little bit, see what happens, and then I learned from there, and gradually you build up a knowledge of how things fit together. So if we were going to do that, let's have a look at an existing script. So I'm going to make a very small level. I'm going to put a start marker down, and I'm going to add a fence in. Scenery chain link fence. So I'm going to add that down, and let's just run that. There's our fence. So we'll walk up to the fence, and we can press E to open the door. We'll do that. That's pretty cool. And so we wanted to change the script of that object. We can click on that object, click properties, and we can see under AI system, door.lua is being used for that. So if we click on that, let's look for, there's another door one, which is door auto. So let's put that in instead. Run that. We can see, as you probably guessed, as soon as you walk up to it, it automatically opens. So we wanted to change that a little bit, just to make it our own script and do something a bit different with it. So we might have, have a complex that is only opened if you use your flashlight. So if the flashlight is turned on, the door will open, and if the flashlight is off, it won't open. So how do you write that in a script? So we've already got one that's fairly similar, which is this door auto. So if we go back to here and look for door auto, there it is. So we'll copy that and paste it, and we'll call it door flash, and we'll open it up. So there it is. So the first thing, as I've mentioned before with Lua scripts in GameGuru, is you've always got to have an init function. So it's the name of the script underscore init and the main. And the init doesn't need to have anything in it, but it just needs to be there. That's if you just wanted to set a few things up before it actually runs in game. So initialize, init stands for. And then the main function will be run every cycle that object is being updated or being seen, etc. So we need to obviously change the name, because this is called door auto. So we'll change it to door flash for that. And there. I'm too lazy to type flash again, so I hit just as many keys to copy and paste it. So we've got door flash init and door flash main. So that's now going to do exactly what the previous script did. It's just going to check if the, well, let's look through it actually. So we're getting player distance equals get player distance, which we've seen before. It was in here somewhere. It was up here. There we go. Get player distance. So you see, it's comparing the entity itself with the global player position, which is being updated every frame, as is the entity position, and it's giving us back what the distance is. So we're checking that, and if it's less than 100, and the player's actually alive, then it's going to open the door because it's on automatic thing. So if we wanted to change that to use our flashlight, where do we put it? So we've checked if the player distance is less than 100 and the player's alive. Then we see if the player can see this entity. Then we're saying, is the player visible from the entity's point of view? And if it is, if it's 1 is yes, 0 is none, is no rather. Then we're saying, is the door activated already? If it's not, then we're going to activate it. So that's where we could put it. So how do we test the flashlight? So if we go back to globals, let's go back to the player globals that are passed in, we can see there's player flashlight. So let's copy that, go back here. So we've got if the entity is activated is 0. So if it's not been activated, so what really we want to say now is if it isn't activated and the player's got the flashlight on, then open the door. So we put and player flashlight equals to 1. Just a quick thing about Lua. You see this equals and double equals. With people that have used, say, DV Pro, you'd be used to something like A equals 1. And if you wanted to test if A equals 1 in a programming language like BASIC, so DV Pro, you'd say if A is equal to 1. Where with a lot of languages like C++ and Lua, testing against something and setting it to something, so assigning or testing, is two different things. So to make it clear for the language, if you're testing, you use double equals instead. So it's making it very clear that you're not assigning 1 to A. A doesn't become 1. It's saying if A is equal to 1, it's the same as 1, rather than the previous line, which is saying A is equal to 1. So assign 1 to A, where this is saying test A against 1. So that's why the double equals. So we've got and player flashlight equals 1 then. So let's try that. Door flash, door flash, door flash. So that all looks good. So in here now, we can go back to here and let's pick up the door again. Click the little dot 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 to search and press D to go down to door. So we've got door auto, no door flash. Door flash there, no door flash there. It's looking in the wrong place, that's why. So I'm running the wrong, again I'm running in the wrong version of GameGuru. So let me just pick up the correct version. I have 2 copies of GameGuru installed, you see. One is for development only, and one is obviously the Steam version that's released. So sometimes I get confused, or every time I get confused and run the wrong one. So I'm just going to put this back again. Luckily it was an amazingly complex scene. So we've got that. Click on this. Properties. the door, and door flash. Apply changes, run. So now we're going to walk up to the door, and it's not opening. There's no press E to enter, so let's turn on my flashlight. Well, there we go, and it opens. I'll go through, and it closes again. So although that's probably the weirdest script that's ever been made for GameGuru, it just shows you that you can do anything really, testing on anything. And if you're new to it, or even not, but you're not new to programming, but you're just new to GameGuru and the way it all works, it is really a good and fun way to pick up things by looking at the existing scripts, thinking what you want to do, find the script that's closest to what you want to do. Like I did with this door, I wanted to make the door open with a flashlight for some strange reason, and then just make a copy of that script. Make sure you change the init and the main to match the new name, change a few properties, and then you're not breaking anything that's existing in GameGuru. You can just muck about, have some fun, and do some new things. So I'll do it once more since it was very awesome. So there we go. So now everyone can make the door open and close with a flashlight, which I'm sure you'll agree is needed in every single game. So that's a ridiculous but hopefully interesting example that you can quite easily add. And I would suggest if you're getting into scripting, or you think it's a bit baffling and not sure that if it's for you, just have a play around with these scripts and just see if you like it and see what happens with it, because you'll be quite amazed at the things that will suddenly fall into place when you start mucking about with something that's already there. Because when you break down code, it's not quite as scary as it first seems. All this is fairly logical. A function does something, so it has something to do. Player distance, we're getting the player distance. We're saying if, which is fairly English sounding, if player distance is less than 100 and the health is greater than 0, so in other words, if it's close enough, if it's closer than 100 units, if he's alive, then do this. So whenever you see an if, you normally see an end to follow it, and same for function. That's the start of the function, that's the end. And where each little block, each little test, you can see this. If we're testing if the player is visible equals 1, then do this bit inside. And that's why it's what we call indented, so it's moved in. It's to show that this block is a child of this block. Because only if this test is passed does this bit get run. If it doesn't, then it will go straight to end and just carry on. We'll just skip the whole thing. That's why you can nest these in. Like we've got 3 tests here. If the player is greater than 100, or in fact equal to 100, then it will just skip all of this, just go straight past it onto the next bit, which is here, closing the door. So hopefully that's of interest. I've used up most of the time actually on that, so I'll grab the Soldier AI and we'll just have a quick look through it. I've run out of time. Any questions on that amazing example so far? Zed is saying needs a visual editor. Yeah, that's a good point. He says it's Lua is quite easy for scripting in relative terms compared to other scripts, but it's still not. If you've never programmed before, never scripted before, and really don't fancy it, and in fact it scares you, then yeah, it's what Zed said there is a fair point. It would be good to have a visual thing. I believe, Rick will correct me if I'm wrong, that on our list of features we have got a visual editor on there. Sure, sure, will, Rick. Yeah. So if you are interested in seeing visual side of Lua, then do check out the page where you can vote. Again, I've shown this every time. I purposely didn't this time because I always go on about it too much. But if you go to help, community feature vote, there's a whole list of all the things that we could add, or that we'd like to have, or other people have said they'd want to see. There's a big list of them, and vote for the ones that you think are really important. So if you really wanted to do your own scripts, and the idea of it sounds really exciting, but in practical terms, the whole typing out programs and stuff is just, bleh, I don't want to do that. I like to make things visually. Then vote for it. And if it's not there, it is on the features list. Okay, good. Thanks, Rick. So yeah, so because time is short, I'll leave the going through the Soldier AI to another time. And Rick's asked if I can just tell you briefly about the C++ conversion and how it's going. So yeah, the short answer is very well. What we've been doing in the past couple of weeks is we've moved from Visual Studio 2012 to Visual Studio 2015 because it's got so many really cool features in it that we made us drool in a geeky way. It was some really great things that it does, and a big point of it was, as you know, the whole point to this process that we're doing at the moment is speed. We want to speed things up. We want the engine to be as fast as possible, run as efficiently as possible, etc. Because that was the biggest thing that people voted for. So that's what we're doing. The whole all in the whole of the performance. We felt that Visual Studio 2015 would be a really helpful part of that, because there's a lot of things like VTune that you can use in the past to test how a program runs and how fast different routines run and how long things take, etc. And these extra tools were a real pain to use and produce really strange feedback, and you were never quite sure what it meant, and how much it helped you. So you spent half the time trying to analyse what you got back. With Visual Studio 2015, all that kind of stuff is built into it, and we can run GameGuru, and we can say put a breakpoint, which means stop, stop executing at this point, and then run it to another breakpoint. So we could just run one function, and we can see exactly how long it takes. So it enables us to really drill down to what's taking the more time than it should, and where time is being wasted, and look at how we can improve it. So there's lots of other things that Visual Studio does as well that we really wanted, the new version, but that was the main thing, because we're doing performance, that it's really going to help us out with that. Another thing that we've done is we've had the 3D engine and kind of the game engine always there as C++, but then the actual GameGuru logic, so like the editor and gameplay, all that logic was written in DB Pro, which was our own language, which is like a gamified version of BASIC, which is very good, but obviously there is a performance hit with it. So what we've done in the past few weeks, as well as move to 2015, we've also been working on getting the engine, because the engine is, as it was designed to work with DB Pro. So it used a lot of DLLs, which you may have noticed, and all the different functions like 3D, 2D, sound, physics, multiplayer, were all separate DLLs. And basically they were all loaded by the executable file. And what we wanted to do is get rid of all those, because there is a performance hit on calling functions in DLLs. So we've changed it all to libraries. If this doesn't make any sense, apologies. We've changed them all to libraries, and everything is in one big lump now, if you like. So there aren't any DLLs. All the 3D, 2D, sound, everything is all the same functionality, but is now all built into the engine as one. There aren't any DLLs, which makes it quicker and makes it just a lot better. Then the next step from that, which I'm still working on at the moment, which is going very well, is taking the DB Pro code and basically converting the DB Pro code into C++. So by the time we finish with that, which that's going very well, very well. By the time we finished that, it means there'll be no DB Pro code. It will all be 100% C++, and that code will then sit inside the engine, so it has direct access to everything. So the end result will be everything is super fast in Visual Studio 2015, which has got the an amazing compiler as always. They always improve it, and it will all be unified into one code. Won't be called DLLs, so it'll be faster, better. So that's where we're getting on with that conversion. It's going very well. What I've been doing the last week or so is writing a converter which will take the DB Pro source code and convert it to C++. And because the actual game itself is, as you can imagine, many thousands of lines of code, and BASIC is very different to C++. It's been challenging, fun, but yeah, we're almost at a stage now where we can just kind of tidy up the little bits that have incorrectly been converted over. So we're getting very close to that stage now. I think within the next couple of days I'll be at that stage where I'll be then on to just tidying it all up. So yeah, it's going on. That's going very well. When is it going to be finished? I can't say, because there's a few other plans that we've got as well, which I'm probably not allowed to say, so I won't. But yeah, there's many other exciting things involved with the whole performance thing. But that's kind of the first bit, is getting everything into C++, because it will make quite a difference. And it also means the communication between Lua and GameGuru is better. We won't really need to pass things backwards and forwards anymore, because it will all be built in. We could just set things directly, so that will have an impact as well. So there'll be lots of many different ways that it's going to speed up from that. I can. Okay, Vic says I can say, so I'm not sure how far I can though, but after Vic spoilt my line. after we've done that, we've got the engine working all C++. At the moment, GameGuru is based on DirectX 9, so we're going to move to DirectX 11, which is going to be really cool, because it's quicker, it's more powerful. It means we can have better shaders, better effects, faster speed, because there's a lot of things that DirectX 11 does a lot better than DirectX 9, and really there's only so far we can go in 9. We're doing a lot of visual effects that kind of really shouldn't be in 9 anyway. That should be in 11. So we're pushing 9 really past what it can do. So we are going to move to DirectX 11 as the next step once we've done this. Again, as part of performance, and when we do that, it means we can speed up the engine massively, because as you can imagine, a lot of 3D games are very much draw call bound rather than anything else. So it means we'll be able to cut down draw calls, because there's some great things you can do in DirectX 11, some really clever things. Like at the moment, draw calls in DirectX 9 and 10 are single core only, where DirectX 11 supports multi-core draw calls, which is going to be really cool, because that's always the bottleneck. So that's going to be really good. Things like hardware instancing we can do. So say at the moment you've got 400 trees in the back of your scene, and you're fairly close-ish to them. It's going to have to draw 400 trees, which is a lot. And if they're pretty complicated, and they're fairly close-ish, it's going to be drawing them at a decent load level. So that's going to be quite a hit, because it's going to be doing 400 draw calls to draw them. Where if we batch them, if we hardware instance them, what we can do is we can say grab all the trees at the same, and they may be a different shade, different size, different rotation. That's all fine. But what we can do is we grab the normal data for that, and then we also make a list that says all the instances. So this is where the next one is. This is its position, rotation, color, tint, etc. We have this other list, and we pass both of those to the shader, and then the GPU just draws the whole lot, so it's literally becomes one draw call. So that kind of thing is going to speed things up immensely. So we're very excited. There's lots of other things that we've got planned with DirectX 11 as well, but that just gives you an idea of one of them. It can have quite a massive performance increase. Can you imagine going from these, this particular example of the trees, going from 400 draw calls to one is fairly impressive. So lots of things like that, because you find a lot of scenes have got a lot of the same items in there. So being able to reduce the draw calls, and not only that, but to get the GPU to do all the work is fantastic. So that's where we are with that. Getting on really well with it. It's been a lot of fun. It's not quite as scary as we thought it would be at first. We've been very careful, and we're big fans of not doing things manually, which is why I've been writing this tool. That if you can get something if you can write a tool to do something for you, and writing the tool is quicker than doing it by hand, then write the tool. So that's what we've been doing to make sure we don't make any mistakes, and everything is all running lovely. So that's where we are with that. I think we're out of time now. So is there anything before I go? And apologies for not getting to the main part of what I was going to show you, which was the Soldier AI. I can do that another time. But if you'd prefer to see something else, or like to know about something else, do post. We've got a thread on our forums which we take requests, and we'll try and fit them in at some point. I know there's been quite a few requests for guns and how to make your own guns. I will do that, but because I'm really deep in this conversion thing at the moment, and every moment is precious, I would need a little bit of preparation to do that. Like when I did the tank example, had to kind of prepare and make sure it worked first, rather than do it live and nothing works. So to make sure I'm doing it correctly. So I would need to prepare for that. So I'm going to leave that one for a little while. But if there's anything else, maybe on the scripting side, things you want to see, or if you're happy for me to take you through the soldier thing next time, just that's what I'll be doing. So anything else before I go? I shall wait a few seconds, because there is about 12 seconds delay between me saying something and everybody else hearing it. So hopefully you'll the sound of moving from DirectX 9 to DirectX 11 is exciting, because it is for us, because it means we can do many amazing things and speed things up massively and make everything look a lot prettier and a lot better and a lot faster. So there's really only gains to be had. So thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you very soon, and take care. Cheers all. Bye bye.
Five, four, three,